Hey guys, welcome to another episode of TF Feedback, and today we're going to be talking about composition. And before you turn this video off because composition is boring and not a super cool topic like you need more drones or you need more technology, you need better camera, composition is one of those things that when you're starting out it's just really hard to understand, and really it just gets kind of ignored and left aside. But it's the easiest way to make your films look way better, and it doesn't cost you anything. I love talking about things that don't cost you anything but just time and effort. You don't need more money, you don't need a better camera, you don't need any of that stuff. If you focus on your composition, your footage will be way better than if you just have a better camera. And what do we mean by composition? Well, really it's just taking all the elements of whatever you're shooting and putting them together in the best way. And there's a bunch of different techniques like rule of thirds, we have contrast, leading lines, depth, frames. There's just so many different things that you can use to get better composition. But really when we're talking about composition, what you're trying to accomplish is that when a person looks at your image, right away they're drawn to the most important thing in that image. And usually it's a person, if you have a person, or whatever the focal point of your landscape or whatever you're shooting is, that's where you want people to be looking, and that's what composition is all about. So what are your eyes drawn to? What's most attractive in this shot to your eyes? What things are you focusing on? Those are all the things that composition either accomplishes or ruins for you. If, for example, you have a character in your shot and it feels like, where's Waldo? You just can't find them, well, your composition sucks. Or let's say you have the person there and you can see them, but your eye is more drawn to something else, well then your composition sucks. But good composition means that immediately the eye is drawn to what you want the viewer to be focused on, and it's gonna stay there on the main things. It's not gonna be bouncing into the corners or somewhere where you're not supposed to be looking. Even right now, as I'm talking to you in this video clip, I'm using compositional techniques. For example, this leading line here that's pointing right at my face, right at my eyes, right where I want you to be focusing. Even these lenses are kind of just creating this nice curve and pointing up at my face. So everything is pointing at my face because I want you to be focusing at me while I'm talking. So composition is super important. So let's get into some videos. The first one is by Smart Film Projects and it's called Heading North. So right off the bat, we have this beautiful drone shot of this epic landscape, and the composition is pretty decent. The only thing I would say is that your road here should be the main focus of the shot because it's this road trip. Right away, you should include this road. So I would maybe put the road in the middle of the shot versus kind of off to the side. That should be your main focal point. And also you could maybe just add that car driving down. If you have a red car, it'll just pop so well on that road and just tell so much story right off the bat. But a really cool opening shot, I really like this. At 43 seconds, there's a really cool time lapse, but there's something off about this. I don't know if it's just that the tent is a little bit kind of in a weird position in the frame, or there's just not enough stuff on the other side to kind of balance out the shot. It kind of just seems off. Your eye is drawn to the middle for some reason. I don't know if it's just the zoom that you added, but I'm not focusing on the tent even though I should be. My eyes want to go there, but they're being drawn to something else. So something is off about this shot. But here at 50 seconds, this is a really nicely composed shot. It's a nice kind of silhouette shot. The contrast is really where the main character is. Then you have the horizon, this nice leading line pointing right at your character. Everything is kind of just pushing towards that character, and that's where your eyes want to go, and that's a good job at composing your shot. Also here, if the color grade had a little bit more contrast with the colors, if the face was a little bit more orange, then the face would really pop from the scene. And you don't want to go too far, you don't want to go all oompa loompa on it, but having that color contrast, that nice blue on the background and then having that orange face really helps to separate what's important in the frame. At 1 minute, you have a great drone shot where all the lines, everything's just pushing towards that focal point. It looks really good. But then the next one, there isn't really a focal point. You kind of want to look to the sides and all over, but there isn't this nice composition where everything is pointing at one thing. I would have maybe chose one of the snowy hills or the island or something to be kind of the focal point and drawn more attention to that. Right now, there isn't really anything that interesting in this shot. So yeah, overall, this is a really cool edit. Maybe a bit too long for me. I think you definitely could have shortened it up and made it a little bit faster pace. But there's a lot of cool shots in here, and there's a lot of shots that if you just tweaked a little bit in composition would be a lot better. But great work overall. The next video we have is by 26. It's called Iceland Road Trip 2017. And it's a really nice little road trip video. I like this. There's a lot going on, a lot of nice shots, and it just has a nice feel to it. At 11 seconds, we have a really nicely composed shot. We have the subject on the right side. They have a red jacket, so it really just pops. There's that nice color contrast. Right away, your eyes are drawn to it. But then on the other side, there's some nice elements that give a little bit more weight to that side of the frame. So it's a nice balance of things. You have the subject on the right side and the other elements on the left side, these nice rock formations. And then you even have these nice leading lines that are just pointing straight at the subject and kind of connecting the environment and the subject at the same time. It really just brings everything nicely together. This is a really nicely composed shot. Then we have this shot at 3 seconds, and this one isn't so good. It kind of makes me feel all claustrophobic because you're cutting off the subject a little bit, and it's just like she doesn't fit in the box at all anymore, and it just makes me feel a little bit weird. Also, the focus isn't on the subject, it's somewhere in the rocks, and it just doesn't quite work. If you wanted to do a shot like this, I would have put her right in the middle, and that way you at least have this nice line. Even if she was out of focus, your eyes wouldn't be kind of battling between the focal point, which is in the rocks in the middle, and then your subject, which you should be focusing on. You're kind of going back and forth, and it just isn't a very nice frame. You have a couple really cool silhouette shots. I really like these. These always work because there's just so much contrast where you have your subject, so your eyes are going to be immediately focused on the subject and what's most important in the frame. These work really well at 20 and 21 seconds. At 32 seconds, the shot is really simple, but it just works. It just looks really good, nice and kind of symmetrical. The people are in the middle, and you kind of just see where they're walking off to. You can kind of see their surroundings and where they're going to. It just has a lot of emotion, a lot of feel to it. I really like this shot. And then at 54 seconds, this is my favorite shot of the video. It's a perfect shot. There's really nice silhouetting going on. And why silhouettes work is that it's the section with the most contrast to it. So the background is all kind of white and really bright, and then the person is really dark. So it's really contrasty. Your eyes are drawn to that contrast. Not only that, but the person is the only thing that's moving in the shot. So your eyes are so drawn to this really contrasty, only moving object in the frame. It just works really well. Even though you have this super interesting plane in the shot, it's not taking all the attention. The attention is still on the main subject. And that's really what you're trying to accomplish with composition. If the composition seems too weird, like this shot at 1:30, then it probably is. You probably shouldn't be doing it. This is not a good shot. It doesn't work. There's a lot of good shots in this video, but this one is not one of them. If you're going for something really experimental, you really need to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And in this case, it's just a random shot that doesn't work in this video. But overall, I really like this film. It has a really cool feel to it. There's a lot of really nice shots in this edit. Great work on this one. And now for the pick of the day, and for once I can actually pronounce the difficult name because he's Finnish. Vesa Peltonen, Evening in Hirvijärvi. This is my pick of the day. And not just because he's Finnish and I might have a bias towards Finnish people, but because this video has a lot of really well composed shots. The opening shot, really cool. I like the symmetry, the leading lines kind of pointing to your subject, and then even having the contrast with the sky. It just really works really nicely. Gives a little bit of mystery to the video. I want to know more about this video, what's going on. It draws me in. At 25 seconds, again, we have a perfect silhouette shot. The eyes are just so drawn to this character, even though you can't really see the facial expressions or anything like that, but it just says a lot about what's going on. He's doing photography, he's enjoying the nature, you're seeing the environment at the same time. It just works really well. And just as a side note, this is how you want to shoot sunsets. You want to use it as a really nice backlight. You don't want these flat shots of the sun just punching straight into the face of your character. You want to create drama and this contrast. This works really well. At 35 seconds, I like the idea here about using the negative space, but you're just cutting off the person a little bit too much. You don't want to cut off the person ever. If this happened, I would just redo the shot. Get him to walk that same thing over again and redo it, because you really have a cool idea here. It just didn't work out quite like you wanted to. At 1 minute, this is a great example of framing. You used what's around you, these nice little branches here, and you frame the character within those branches, so automatically your eye wants to see what's in that frame, what's going on over there, and that's what you want in this shot. At 1:26, I really like this shot. There's some nice space for the viewer to look at what your subject is looking at. Again, the horizon, the leading line points at your character and just kind of connects the environment to the subject. It just works really well. And even that nice little contrast on the side of the face, it just really draws my attention to the character and what they're looking at. Overall, I really like this edit. It just hits a lot of the main things that I've been talking about. Having a character or story, this photographer going out, doing some shooting and just enjoying the nature. There's a nice little story to it. The lighting is super good. Sunset time, this was the right time to shoot this. If you would have shot this exact same sequence at, let's say, noon, it just wouldn't have looked nearly as good. It probably would have been a pretty bad edit, so nice work on the lighting. And thirdly, the composition is really nice for the majority of the shots in this video. My eyes were at peace with the frames, and right away my eyes were drawn to the subject, which is the most important thing in these films. And the video was nice and short and well put together, and that's why this is my pick of the day. Nice work, Vesa. So next time you're out filming, stop and think about your composition. Look at your frame, make sure there's nothing that's distracting the viewer. If there is, change it up, and just use those elements to the best of your ability to really draw the viewer's attention to your subject or to your focal point. The best part is that this costs you nothing. You can literally go out right now and start practicing these, and it'll make you a way better filmmaker than focusing on things like gear or tech or anything like that. So get out there and start making your compositions better. And once again, if you want feedback on your films, make sure to post it on Twitter. A lot of you are sending it on different social media channels, and I'm not even looking at those. I'm literally completely ignoring them. I want them all on Twitter so I can check them really quickly and easily. So if you want feedback, follow me on Twitter, tag me in the post, and use the hashtag TFFeedback. Did you like this video? Well, hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and guys, really enjoy the filmmaking process and go get some of those travel feels.